There was a lot of bombing going on, and we had to go to the cellar. We stayed in that cellar. We had a problem with the food, not much food, just a little bit to exist. I went out one day just to a bakery. You had to stay in the line for a piece of bread, or maybe you got one bread. So one day I went out, and I was standing in that line, and one of those Hungarian, they were called Nyilas, it was said to me, "You see that woman in the front? That's a Jewish woman. She's not supposed to be here." I said, "I don't know her." So he said, "I'm going to call one of those gendarmes. Would you please watch her? And I'm going to call one." Well, of course, I was afraid for myself. So as soon as he left, I left. And I never wanted to go out for another bread.
When they put us in the train, which was cattle cars, we had no bathroom there. That's all they had was like pots. And the trip from Budapest to Vienna wasn't really long. I don't know if it was 2 hours or 3 hours, but it wasn't long. And as soon as we came into Vienna, when they disconnected our cars and put us on a different track, they opened up the doors and they told us, to go out. The SS guards were there watching us with big dogs, with German shepherds. And as soon as we came out, they told us to take out the pots and empty them there. They had a place. And the Red Cross was there at the train, and they gave us some soup. We didn't eat probably for a day and a half while we were interrogated in Budapest, and on the trip they didn't give us any food. And when the Red Cross gave us the soup, we had to go back in the cattle cars, and they closed them up, and this Russian spy knew already that we were going to Dachau. And as soon as we came in Dachau, they opened up the cattle cars, and the SS came right away with the German shepherds, and they took us into the main headquarters in Dachau. And you had to register there, one by one. They had tables, and you had to go to the tables and register. And that's what I did. And when I was there, maybe a couple of days, we didn't do any work. There was a couple of guys came down from the Messerschmitt factory in Lechfeld, which is near Augsburg, and they announced if there is anybody in our group who knows how to work with steel. So I volunteered because I figured I wanted to get out from Dachau, and whatever they're going to tell me to do, I'll be able to do it anyways. So I volunteered, and I came out and I told them, and there were another 40, 50 guys, and they took us by train. We had to walk to the train, from the train in Augsburg to the SS barracks, where the SS used to be there, but it was empty. I guess the SS were taken away to fight on the fronts. So they took us in those barracks, and we had to get showers and clean up the place, and everybody got a blanket, and we got some black coffee there, and they told us to go to sleep, and they're going to wake us up 6 o'clock in the morning. And that's what happened. They woke us up 6 o'clock in the morning, and they gave us some more black coffee, and they told us to march to the train. And we marched, which was about 3.5, 4 miles. And we marched to the train, and that train took us to work to Lechfeld, where the factory was for the Messerschmitt aeroplane company. But they made just parts there. They didn't make the whole plane. So as soon as we came in to Lechfeld, it was like an assembly line making the wings. You hand it over to the next guy, and the next guy used to put on something else on there. And then the other, you know, it was like an assembly line. But there was nothing hard to learn. I mean, as soon as they showed it to you how to do it, you did it. But we worked like, we got there about, I don't know, 7 o'clock or 7:30, and we worked until 6 o'clock at night, and then another shift came in. They used to work at night. This factory was underground. There were about 15,000 people working there, underground. And we had a foreman who was a real terrible SS Nazi. Not dressed as a Nazi, he was dressed in civilian clothes. But he watched us, that we should work. And anybody who didn't, who tried to go work a little slow, he used to beat him. He was a real sadist. And we didn't get much food there, just a little food, a piece of bread and a soup, until we came back to the barracks in Augsburg, which we got also just some soups and a potato maybe. So we didn't have too much food. But that factory, we were in it. I guess the Americans didn't know about it yet. But about a month later, they knew about it, and they started to bomb that factory. And every time, the siren went off, we had to run out in the woods, because this was in the woods underground. But the Americans knew exactly where it was, and they bombed. In a few days, it was bombed out completely. Nobody could work in it. Now, this foreman we had, he was a real, like I said, a real sadist. And when it came like a coffee break, we didn't get the coffee break. But he used to sit down and have a piece of cheese, that Swiss cheese, which has the bottom you have to cut off. So he used to cut off the bottom and throw it where we were, maybe 5, 6 guys, so we can fight. And he used to love to see us jump at it and fight, about it. He was a real bad guy. And like I said, we were there just, I don't know, about a month or so, and the factory was bombed out. And while I was in the woods, one of the bombs exploded outside the factory, and I got injured right here from a shrapnel. Augsburg is a big city, and while we were walking to the train, we were walking right through the city. And there were civilians, going to work. We went in the morning, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, I don't know. And the what do you call it? The German civilians were walking by us. And they just ignored us, like they were walking by, going to work, and like they didn't even see us. That's how they were walking. Right.